We've been talking all week about getting real about ourselves. And today we're going to talk about getting real about our customers. Now, you may say, I know my customers. I've done this, but trust me, we're going to give you some new insights, some things to think about, and probably some areas to ponder going forward. All that and more on episode 907. That's right, 907 of today's Antidote.
Stay tuned for today's Antidote, brought to you by the Renegade Success Network. Today's Antidote provides an opportunity for business owners and leaders to discover what is real for them and to be impacted by what is real for others. That is the Renegade way. Let's get real. We all face challenges and get stuck occasionally and are looking for an antidote. Each weekday, this show dives into a topic that may have you stuck, frustrated, and uncertain. Our goal is to share our value in an effort to help you find that one thing, the antidote to your challenges, so that you can get results and make more money. And now, Renegades, we bring you Bob Graham and Tom Brush.
Hey, Tom. Good morning.
Morning, Bob. How are you today?
I'm good. You threw me a curveball. I thought we were doing this live at 6 a.m., not 7 a.m. today, and I just looked and it's being recorded.
Well,
so I have to turn on my disclaimer voice, and that disclaimer voice is, hey, folks, sorry this is being recorded, and therefore your comments, which we would love to see, will not appear on the program, but will appear in the comments to the side. If you're on the podcast, you don't know what I'm talking about. It's all good. Just keep listening.
Fair enough. Yeah, I figured we'd record it and then replay it at 7.
Hey, it's all good. I just, when we do it live, I have some technology stuff I have to do. And I started to do that, and it wasn't doing the things it normally does. And I'm like, And then I saw. So, all good.
Fair enough.
So how are you today?
I'm doing well, thanks. How about yourself?
Good. I'm good. Although it's a little early and I had the volume up really loud and I was afraid that I might have awakened my neighbors.
Oh.
Yeah.
You get the floor banging, or because you are in the penthouse, so it's everybody below you.
That's it. Well, there are some people to the side of me, but they seem very nice and very subdued. So I think they would come across next time they saw me and say, hey, Bob, what were you doing the other morning really early? We don't want to say anything, but could you just do it a little more softly if you need to? They've never said a word to me, though, about that. And this is by far not the noisiest thing. Because it's the penthouse, we've had a couple of rocking parties and, the usual Mick and the boys came to visit and Elton John was in town and, most of
a little bit of a stir.
Yeah, a little bit of a stir, and there were some traffic issues, but we're okay.
Okay. Well, that's good.
Yeah, it is what it is, right? I can't help it that I know famous people.
It's what's real.
That's it. or what's not real.
So are you saying that you just shared all that it's not actually the case?
Could be.
All right. We'll let the listeners and viewers try to decide.
Hey, Sting. Yeah, that's fine. Just let yourself out. Yep. I'll see you. Yep. Good luck with the show. There. Yeah. Keep going.
All right, everyone. Good morning and welcome to today's Antidote, our daily broadcast and podcast. Each week, Bob and I have a conversation around a topic. This week's topic is getting real. Last week, we talked about what's real. So if you missed any of that, you might want to go back and have a better understanding of what the REAL in real stand for and how we leverage that to help people when they might be stuck, frustrated, uncertain, and looking for a way to move forward. Today, we're going to talk about getting real about your customers. And as we go through that conversation, if you have thoughts or ideas that you would like to share, please put them in the comments. Because we know, even though we can't add them to the show today, people will see them as they listen to the replay or watch the replay. And we know that it'll add value to where they're at. It might even be the antidote that they need to help them figure out how to move forward. And of course, at the conclusion of our conversation, like we do each day, Bob and I will share our one thing, our antidote about getting real about your customers that hopefully will help you if you happen to be stuck, frustrated, or uncertain about that and looking for a solution, something that you don't have the experience or the knowledge around. And what we share might be that thing that you need to help you move forward. And as well, if you have one thing that you would like to share, please feel free to put it in the comments, because we know it might be the thing that someone out there has desperately been seeking for and hasn't been able to find, because you have not yet shared it, the value that you have. So please feel free to share. Before we dive into that conversation, though, each morning, Bob and I encourage you to share your celebrations in the chat. And we'll talk a little bit about what's real for us. Bob, do you have a thought you want to share about that, or you want me to?
I do. You're going to like this one.
Okay.
So you and I are going to an Orioles game later today at 1 p.m.
Yeah.
During a work day with two other people, two members of our Renegade Success Network, someone, Jack, who came down from New York to meet us and go to the game. Had lovely dinner with him last night. We had a really good time. He met the third person, Brian, who actually has the tickets for us. Really nice seats, even a parking pass for you and me. And I feel really, really, really guilty about going to a baseball game at 1 o'clock today. Even though it's kind of a work thing, it does have a work flavor to it. I feel guilty because I was raised in a world where I didn't get to go to opening day. My father was a teacher, and it's like, you're going to school. There's no time for baseball. He didn't care about sports. And so I never went to an opening day till I was in my 30s for the first time. And so when I go to a baseball game during the day, this is probably the fourth or fifth time I've been, I feel incredibly guilty. So what I recognize is I have that guilty feeling. The evaluation is it's kind of unfounded. I mean, I'm an adult. I can do what I want. I can pay my bills. I get the things done. If I had a client who needed something at 2:15, probably isn't something that I couldn't deal with over the phone or say, hey, I'm sorry. I'm actually, you hear a baseball game in the background. I'm at the baseball game doing some work. I'll be back tomorrow, blah, blah, blah. All that. I think in thinking about what the action step or how to activate that new insight and what I've evaluated, it is I've got to really get over it. Because if I can't get over it, you'll see at various points during the afternoon, I'll just be sort of in a little fog. I'll just have some serious guilt feelings about I should be working right now. I should be working right now. And I hear echoes of the 9 to 5 mentality. That is, I had a career where I worked normal hours, not normal hours, but that 8-hour day, and you had to be at work for 8 hours. And I haven't done that now in 5 years and on and off for many years. And I still hear it at 3 o'clock when we're goofing off at the baseball game, I will be thinking, boy, I should be at work. And I'll be thinking, geez, what time is this going to be over today? Because I got to get home and get some work done. And it wouldn't surprise me if you asked me tomorrow morning, I'd be like, oh, did you go home and work? Yeah, I went home and I worked for about 4 hours. Oh, really? How'd you pick 4 hours? Well, the game started at 1 and I usually work till 5. So I owed myself 4 hours.
Okay. And you're feeling good.
That's what's real for me today.
It's fair. Even
though someone could say, hey, dude, you're up at 6 a.m. Your day started before 6 today. So 6 to 1 is 7 hours. It's not a bad day.
And you started at 7 yesterday.
And if you consider the dinner that I went to last night work, I didn't get home till about 10:15.
And whose definition is that? Who gets to decide whether it was or not?
Of course, I do. And I think this is something that a lot of people suffer through. How do you reconcile those hours? Because no one's telling me, hey, Bob, you have to be there at this time doing this. I've got to set that schedule and I've got to accomplish things. And if I don't accomplish the things I need to accomplish this week, I have to blame myself. And I can certainly on Friday look back and go, wow, you kind of messed around all Wednesday afternoon when you should have been working. So I do that preemptively.
And just continue to judge yourself.
Yes. Yeah. If you'll be with me all afternoon. Ask me every half hour. Do you feel guilty right now about being here? I guarantee I'll be like, oh, wow, you're in my head. That's exactly how I feel. It could be the greatest experience of my life. It could be, who knows? We might sit next to a business owner who's needs help and he's the greatest thing in the world. And I wouldn't have had that opportunity if I didn't go to the game. I still would at the end of the day be like, man, I'm screwing around today. I got to really hit the work button tomorrow hard.
Well, I'm trying to figure out how do we avoid that today.
And part of why two reasons why I'm telling you. One, I think you can help me through it. Two, I don't think I'm alone. I think there are plenty of people that go to their kids' field trip for the day, or went to the opening day of school and took pictures and went to work late, or volunteered for whatever, or their kids in the soccer team and they are going away for the weekend to a tournament and they leave Friday and they don't work Friday. I think there are plenty of people who are going to take a long weekend this weekend if they can. And if they can do it without feeling guilty, bravo. And as we pivot from that to our topic for the day, I don't think one of my customers would say to me for a second, you know what, Bob, you really need to be at work today. I think to a person, if I called them all this morning, they would say, you know what, Bob, that sounds really great. I'm glad to hear you're actually getting, that sounds like a really fun time. Whatever I have that I was going to talk to you about today, don't sweat it. I'll catch up with you tomorrow. I know this because whenever I say to them, oh, by the way, I'm not going to be around for a couple of days. I was off playing golf for a couple of days last week. 2 customers called. Hey, I'm sorry, I'm on the golf course. Oh, I didn't mean to bother you. When are you back? I'll be back by the end of Friday. Oh, this can wait till Monday.
So if that's what's real for your customers and you've seen that in the past, you've had knowledge and experience around that, how come you're not able to push past that?
Therein lies the question, and therein lies Sam Hunt's tail. Looking like a feather. I don't know the answer for you. And I think that's one of the challenges we have is understanding our customers. I've had customers over the years who, if they called me while I was at the baseball game, I would take their call, or I would text them and say, hey, I need to get out of the stadium into the outer area where it's a little less noisy. And I'd take their call. And if they said, Bob, hey, I need this right now, I'd be doing it right then. I'm blessed at the moment where I don't have any clients who are in that place, for better or worse. I mean, some of the nice things about those types of clients tends to be very fast-paced work, which I like. But I think part of it is I was raised as a work before you play person. That was drilled into my head. If I had to cut the grass on Saturday, it wasn't go play baseball with your friends and then cut the grass. It was cut the grass first, then go play baseball. Even if everyone was playing baseball at 10, Bob was cutting the grass at 10. And when I got finished at noon, if they were done playing baseball, I'd be like, well, okay, now go play. Well, they're not there anymore. Yeah, they play at 10, Dad. Oh, well. And I think those things really carry on. I think, I've talked to people who have parents who've owned businesses, and to hear their children recognize how that affected their growing up. You were in that place, right? Your parents owned businesses, and it really does influence and affect how you grow up.
Well, it's interesting. I think my parents owned businesses so that they could control their schedule, so that they could be around when their kids were around, when their kids had things going on, and not have to feel like, oh, I can't attend something. I can't do something I really want to do because someone else is telling me I need to do something. And I think
it makes perfect sense to me, Tom.
Okay.
It's just getting to a place where I'm comfortable with it, because like a lot of my clients and a lot of my friends, I still at times have that 9 to 5 mentality.
What's something that makes you uncomfortable?
What do you mean? What's something that makes me
Or
uncomfortable?
more uncomfortable than that feeling of uncomfort?
Not knowing what I'm doing.
Okay. How about, what if every time you were feeling guilty about being at the baseball game,
Mm-hmm.
you had to try to start the wave
At the game?
at the game?
Oh, my least favorite thing in the world. I won't feel guilty at all.
Well,
Okay.
I think that's something to consider.
Okay.
Is what's a technique to help you avoid feeling guilty?
Okay. So we're making what I'm struggling with less powerful in my mind than the alternative that we've just agreed to.
Right. Because the alternative is something you absolutely positively do not want to do.
Correct. I do not want to start the wave at all.
So that's
Funny that you knew that about me.
You're just a big tall guy, so I thought, hey, sometimes it's the big tall guys that don't mind doing crazy things. They either love that or they don't like it.
I'll do
So
crazy things, but not the wave. I have a thing against the wave, but that's all good. And I think one of the things you point out here, Tom, is I couldn't have gotten to this place to replace that on my own, because I've been struggling with this idea all week. In fact, when I was in the shower this morning, I was this close to saying, guys, I can't go to the game today. That's how powerful that feeling was to me. Like I was out last night late, not, I would argue it was work time, but still it was like, I got work to do. I just can't. Monday's a holiday. I played golf for a couple days last week. I went through the whole process. Like, you're not making your hours, Bob. And oddly enough, the hours don't equate to the revenue.
No.
I could have, while I was driving to the thing I was doing last night, I had a phone call with someone that was about 45 minutes long, probably. And it was probably the most important thing I've done this whole month. And so that 45 minutes, if that was the only thing I did this month, that might have been enough for this month. But I don't usually think about it that way. I usually think about like, well, I had really important 45 minutes, but I didn't do my 8 hours yesterday. When I went to bed last night, that was my thought in my head. It's like, did I do the work of the day, or did I do other things? And I go through that every day.
Well, because you have, and I think you've talked about why, you've equated time to effort,
yeah,
rather than action to effort,
yes,
or impact to effort.
Yes. And it's funny, Tom, because I've helped some of my clients get past this. Yeah. And they're like, wow, you're really good at this. And it's like, I know why I'm really good at it, because I'm literally living it every day with like they are. It's like, oh, yeah. That was your old life. And it's hard to go from a job. It's hard to go from a job where you were required to be at a desk doing something for 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, to this world of entrepreneurship or small business ownership or leadership, where you're judged based on your results. In fact, I was talking to someone last night who was talking about switching careers, and he was saying, I want the flexibility I have now. And I said, well, you're at a level in your career where you're going to have that flexibility wherever you go. They're not going to judge the number of hours you're sitting at your desk. They're going to judge the number of dollars you bring to the company or the number of widgets you get through the production line. And I think that can be alarming to people because it's like, ooh, okay, that's a little different than what they're used to. Make sense?
Sure. It does. The question is, how do you modify that? I think that's because I think we all have it, whether it's about feeling guilty about taking a day to go do something that you enjoy or some other thing that gets you stuck or uncertain. Those are challenges that are hard to overcome, especially alone, because we get caught up in our limited knowledge, experience, and perspective. As vast as it may be, still is limited. And I think it can become easy for us to think that that's the only narrative out there. And I think that we can talk to other people who can help us when we take the time, effort, and energy to reach out for someone else who can help us, like you said you did with some of your clients, figure out how to look differently at the situation, and not in a way to justify what they're going to do, hopefully more as a way to stop judging what they have done and accept that, sometimes things change and that you get to set your own boundaries, right? I mean, it's the blessing and the curse of entrepreneurism, small business ownership is, yes, you have flexibility. And sometimes you're too flexible. Or it could be seen as too flexible. And then that can wreak some havoc through someone who has spent their life having very specific boundaries placed on them. I mean, I think I'm fortunate is that I was always in roles when I worked for others where time was never an issue. It's clearly putting in enough time because there was always things to do and there were always events to do and things at night and weekends. And so time was never really a concern in as much as am I putting in enough? It was almost like clearly doing that. So that allowed me to feel more comfortable to say, okay, I can go do this thing. I can go play golf on a Friday morning. I could go to my kids' recognition at school. Because I knew that that the time was going to be put in. And in actuality, it's more about what were the results. I knew that the actions were going to be taken that would lead to the results that were desired. And I think that has made me more comfortable. I think in this role of giving myself the ability to say, yeah, I'm controlling my schedule, and it's okay if I only work 3 days a week. It's okay if I work for a few hours, take a break, and then work for a few more hours. That it's not just about the number of hours that I put in. It's about the actions that I take. And
it's about meeting customer expectations, right?
Of course.
If a multi-million-dollar donor came to you and said, Tom, I've got $4 million that I've got to move somewhere really fast, and I'd love to give it to your university, I think you would have said, oh, I'm sorry, I have plans this weekend. Never mind. If this needs to get done this weekend, you would make it happen. I worked for a newspaper. When there was a fire, I went to the fire. When there was a car crash, I went to the car crash. If there was a murder, I went to the murder. I had a scanner and all. I worked 1 million hours, 70 hours, 80 hours some weeks. All I was compensated on was, did you cover the community news for that week? And there would be Fridays where you'd be bone tired because the paper was weekly and it come out Wednesday, and there was another paper I edited Thursday. Friday, I was a zombie. I went in. They never said anything to me about what I was doing Friday. Not once. It'd be like, oh, Bob, thanks for, great week, blah, blah, blah. And I would go in for 2 hours, 20 minutes, 4 hours, depending what my mood was. No concern, because I might work over the weekend if there was a fire. And I liked that because I always felt like I was giving more than they were expecting. So there was never the opportunity for them to say, hey, Bob, you didn't do your work this week.
And do you not feel that you're giving more than is expected in your role now?
It depends when I have the results.
Because for you, it's all about the results.
Yeah. 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 So sitting at a baseball game today is probably not doing a lot to get the results I need. However, if I were coaching myself, I'd say you never know.
Correct.
Might be, building relationships, deep relationships with a couple of people that really respect, I think, and appreciate you, understand what you do, might open a whole bunch of doors.
Right. And of those other results, how much of that can you control, truly?
Very little. And I don't want to do the wave today, especially because you'll probably videotape it and post it here.
No doubt. No doubt.
And that's so not going to happen then.
So if I lean over,
I might do YMCA.
Okay. So if I lean over and say, are you feeling guilty? And you say, yeah, I'm feeling a little guilty at the moment. Will you stand up and try to lead the wave?
Half-heartedly, yes, I will. Oh, it's going to be a long day. I have this feeling in the pit of my stomach now. What I will say is for anyone out there who struggles with something, whatever it is, it could be your day, it could be how to schedule your day, it could be making sales calls, whatever it is. This is a lot of what Tom and I do. Talking through it, asking questions, and then trying to figure out a way to move past it. And you may say, well, this is really simple. I can't believe Tom suggested that. Tom knows me well enough to know that that will work. And he also will hold me accountable to it all afternoon. This will not be an afternoon where Tom says at 5:30, I forgot to ask you. This will be Tom when we sit down, the four of us. Tom will sit next to me and say to the two guys we're with, hey, I need to sit next to Bob because, well, you may not have heard, but this is what's going on. Right, Bob? Yes, Tom. So, if you start to feel guilty, Bob, you're going to get up and do the wave, right? And the other two guys will thoroughly enjoy this.
Well, they will also become a part of it. Because it's one thing if I'm asking. It's another thing if they're asking you, are you feeling guilty? Or if they ask you about, Bob, how are you doing this when we know how guilty you feel about taking time off?
Yes.
You don't think I won't plant that question with them?
And that's how we move past these things.
Sure.
Because so often I could very easily have just said, you know what, I'm going to feel guilty all day and sit in my little bubble at the ball game and not enjoy it. Now this gives me the opportunity to potentially move past it, which will make it a lot easier when I have a day where I'm playing a charity golf thing, which would be another case of this. Or a day when I need a day off. I just need to clear my head. And I feel guilty all day. Rather than being off and relaxing, I'm going, I should be doing this. I'm not getting this done. And I think how it ties to our topic today is really, it's about customer expectations. What do your customers expect of you? And when you're getting real, I think part of it is you have to be available when your customers want you to be there. If you're a pizza shop and you're only open from 1 a.m. to 3 a.m., you may struggle a little bit. If you're a swimming pool in your community and you're only open from November to February and it's a cold area and it's below freezing, unless it's a covered pool, you're probably not going to be really successful. Now, in the summer, families will expect your pool to be open during the day and into the evening so they can have barbecue or bring chicken or whatever. And being able to connect those two things, I think so often we steer one way or the other. I've got to be available to my customers all the time, 24/7. if a customer calls me at 4 a.m, I got to be available because that's what they expect of me. Or I only want to be available from 12 to 3 every day, which for some customers that would work.
Well, I think one of the things it does, when you get real about your customers and about your boundaries, it helps you, I think, find some clarity around the steps you might need to take. If you are a pizza place that's only open from 1 a.m. to 3 a.m., I would sure be looking at bars I could partner with to be like, hey, at last call, can you remind people that Pizza Joe's is open? Go get your slice of pizza before you go home.
Bring your receipt from the bar and you get 10% off.
Yeah. I think that's one of the things about it is that if we start to think about that, it can help guide us into what's going on. I think and that may be the case if you start hearing that, wow, people really are looking for something to eat after a night out. And they aren't necessarily looking for breakfast food. Maybe pizza is what it is.
There was a cookie company that delivered to a couple of universities, and they were open like 10 p.m. to like 3 a.m. You could order, and the cookies were not inexpensive. But if you wanted a warm chocolate chip cookie at midnight, all you had to do was call and they brought it to your dorm or your office.
Sure. And then you would think differently about, okay, how am I going to market to those people? Because I start to understand what their tendencies are.
Yeah.
Rather than just feel like, oh, okay, I'm going to be open to anybody and everybody. That doesn't fit what I want to do as a business.
Right.
And I think we have the opportunity to define what our business is and how we are going to manage it. And I think that's the challenge thing is being able to figure that out.
Yeah. And adhere to it.
Of course.
And not knee jerk when someone says, oh, I kind of thought you'd be this. Or I thought you were the pizza place that was open. Boy, I really wanted pizza at 9 a.m. I'm sorry, we close at 3. Oh, I really like morning pizza. Can you be open for me at 9 a.m.? No, I'm sorry, we can't. Or you could, but you've got to make that decision consciously. I think so often we tend to react knee-jerk to things.
We tend to assume things like, oh, I can't take today and go to the game. What if one of my clients calls?
Right.
Customers call. I have to be available. Or I have to do this thing at the office. So I can't do that.
Yes. It's going to be a long afternoon of waves. I can feel it.
I got a long afternoon being with people dressed in orange.
Well, it makes you feel better. One of the people going to the game is going to be dressed in Atlanta wear. Atlanta Excellent. Braves. Because he was going to wear his black Orioles shirt because it will be out in the sun. So you have that going for you. You'll be okay, you Yankee fan.
Yeah, I'll be all right.
Yeah. So, do you have your one thing?
I do.
All right, go ahead. I'm going to let you go first. I'm still figuring this out.
Well, I think getting real about your customers is as much about getting real about yourself. Is that, yes, it matters what your customer is interested in, wants, desires. And at the same time, you have to determine if that's what you want to provide or how you provide it.
Right.
If you want to be the business owner who provides 24/7 accessibility, that's going to say something about who your potential clients are.
Sure.
Not just because they want it, because you want to deliver it that way. And so for you, Bob, if you thought about, maybe I think my clients want access to me at any time, all the time. Maybe I have the opportunity to define when I am available to them. And what does that then say about who my potential clients could be? And do I want to work with those who don't want to fit within my own boundaries?
The boundaries aren't so much about my clients, but about the things I need to do to grow my business. that I need to do certain things every day.
You think you need to do.
I think I need to do. And I think what my discovery for the morning, my antidote, is to try to set boundaries that adhere more to me. Because it would be really nice to just relax and enjoy a baseball game with friends. This opportunity is extremely rare. The logistics of this were not easy for all of us to get together. It's really something that I think, the picture we take today will be something the four of us will cherish for a long time. I would hate to look at that picture in 3 years and go, oh yeah, I didn't really enjoy that day much because I was too busy worrying about my work.
I was worrying about how many hours I put in working.
Right. Hey, folks, if you're someone struggling with this or something similar or even something very different, happy to talk to you about it. Tom and I would love to have this kind of discussion with you and see if we might be able to help you push past it so that you can be happier on your Wednesday afternoon if you're going to the baseball game, or happier with just yourself and your whole day, your weekends. And that's what we do in our Renegade Success Network. Renegade Success Network. I couldn't say that yesterday. I couldn't say it today. I don't know what's going on. We also have a Get Real, Get Results, Make More Money program that we're launching at 17 weeks that can really help you discover more about how to move forward to overcome challenges and things that are getting in your way. And if that's of interest to you, we'd love to talk to you about that. You can find out more in a minute. There's going to be a really good announcer who's going to do a really good explanation of it. I feel it with all my heart, Tom.
Setting up some high expectations.
I am.
Trying to determine results. We'll see what judgment that brings.
And doing a little work.
Doing a little work, yes.
At least I could do that today.
Sure. All right,
everyone.
everyone.
I'm going to go practice the wave.
Practice how to get it started. One thing to do it. It's another to get it started.
Boy.
All right, everyone. Thanks so much for being with us today. If you have an antidote, your one thing around getting real about your customers, please feel free to share it in the comments. Or if, as Bob said, you're struggling with trying to set boundaries, or what's real for you from the past is haunting you today, even though the situation is different. Please feel free to share those thoughts as well, because we know that when you share your value, you have an opportunity to impact someone else. And if you're listening to the podcast, we know there's no place to comment. So we would encourage you to join us in our Sculpt Your Business Facebook group, where you can share your thoughts and ideas there, as well as gain from the thoughts and ideas of others. So we look forward to seeing you inside of that group. If not, we will see you tomorrow morning, 7 a.m.-ish Eastern time, for our next episode of Today's Antidote.
Hey, and I guess if you come back tomorrow morning, you can see if there's a wave that Tom videotapes, because I'm hoping not, but I have a feeling. So that's hanging out there over my head, and you can come back tomorrow and find out. Whatever you do today, whether you're doing the wave, not doing the wave, feel guilty about your work, feel not guilty about your work, be a renegade, embrace the renegade in you. It's so worth it. That's what I'm going to try to do today. The renegade in me is going to the ball game. There you go.
And maybe starting the wave. And I would say to any local Maryland people, if you happen to be watching the game and you see the wave going on at the game, you will now know who started it, whose fault it is that it's happening.
Oh, boy.
All right, everyone, go out and enjoy your day. We will see you soon.
As promised, here's your great announcer talking about the Get Real, Get Results, Make More Money program. You heard us talk about some of the challenges Bob was having. That's me. And you might be having something similar going on or something different. We would love to talk to you about it and see if we might help you get past it. It's time to get real, get results, and make more money. And by the way, make more money doesn't mean always make more money. It could be more freedom. It could be the ability to go to a baseball game on a Wednesday afternoon and not feel guilty. Whatever's standing in your way, we want to talk to you and help you move past it. Just go to renegadesuccessnetwork.com or ask Tom or Bob. Except don't do it this afternoon because we're going to the baseball game.
And Bob won't be looking at his phone.
That's right.